Hello everyone, this is Edray1416 here with a video about food stamps versus private meal services. This without a doubt is my most difficult video to date, so hopefully I can explain this well enough for people to understand. I realize that criticism is coming my way, but I must carry forward. Here we go. Food stamps, a government program that was established by Democratic President Franklin Delano Roosevelt in 1933 under the Agricultural Adjustment Act. This program was originally created in 1933 to regulate excess agricultural products like wheat, corn, vegetables, even fruit. This was mainly because people were struggling with no work and no knowledge of basic survival instincts. Because of these regulations, food prices started skyrocketing. Under the New Deal era from Roosevelt, multiple programs were established to assist those living in poverty. The first official food stamp program was recognized in 1939, in which you had to pay a certain amount for an actual food stamp. If you purchased a $1 orange food stamp, you would get an additional 50-cent blue food stamp. You gotta remember that food was super cheap back then. You could have bought a lot for $1. But if you looked at the average supermarket in 1939, you could fill up a grocery cart for $25. So if you purchased a certain amount of food stamps, you could get enough food to fill your grocery cart. Thankfully, that generation of food stamps ended in 1943. But food stamps didn't become a regular fixture in America until 1964 under Lyndon B. Johnson's administration. The purpose of this act was to help provide some supplemental income for people too poor to buy groceries regularly. But this became an immense nightmare to taxpayers that is still happening today. From 1964 to 1981, poor people didn't try to become self-sufficient where hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars were spent yearly. This was one of the instrumental reasons why Republican President Ronald Reagan cut numerous government programs in 1981. It was to encourage people regardless of class to work hard and be self-reliant. Also, people were tired of the fraudulent cases in which people would sell their food stamps for money to buy drugs rather than feed their kids. When the American government brought back food stamps, a new program called Electronic Benefit Transfer was implemented on November 28, 1990. This new program meant you could use your food stamps to purchase government-approved goods with the swipe of a card. EBT made it easy for poor people to purchase food through taxpayer dollars. But this also made it easy for people to manipulate the government into buying drugs, alcohol, and smokes, defeating the purpose of food stamps. The biggest case of food stamp fraud in American history was in Worcester, Massachusetts in 2016 when a woman named Vita Ofori-Kazi laundered $3.6 million in food stamps for a cash for benefits scheme. And if you read the articles from Breitbart.com regarding food stamp fraud, there are millions of cases in which people either sell food stamps for cash or sell food stamps for drugs. It is absolutely disrespectful for the people that are in a legitimate bad situation, but need to eat. What if those drug addicts had kids and they don't use food stamps to feed the kids? What are the kids going to eat? When are they going to eat again? If you put drugs or alcohol before your own children, you deserve to be ridiculed and imprisoned for life. Abuse and neglect are the most despicable things you can do to a child. If you can't use your food stamps to feed your children, you deserve to have your kids taken away while you face a lengthy prison sentence. Now, what are private meal services? A private meal service is a service in which you would put in a certain amount of money for yourself to get a certain amount of food. For example, if a poor person is not qualified for food stamps, you can donate money to a local food bank to feed a family. It ain't the best private meal service, but donating to your local food bank can feed a community regularly. Food banks not only provide for those that almost put their entire paycheck toward bills and rent, but it would save taxpayers a lot of money because they are donating voluntarily rather than forcefully paying for a service that gets fraudulently manipulated. Private donations benefit a community. Would I donate to my local food bank? Of course. I've donated to my local food bank multiple times in an effort to feed the community. Sometimes I would donate $3. A lot of times I would donate $5. Grant you it ain't a whole lot of money. I'm trying to feed a community despite my own struggles to feed myself. That's the first example of private meal services. The other example is meal preparation services on the internet. This is an innovative market that is trying to provide quality meals for a decent price. While Plated is being heralded as the best private meal service on the internet with quality meals you can cook at home, Blue Apron is economically the best private meal service. You can get vegetables that are fresh, you get fresh meat, not preserved meat, and quality spices for your food. With Blue Apron, if you purchase a two-person meal plan, 3 meals per week cost about $66 with no shipping fees. So $66 times 4 weeks equals $264 per month. Not to mention that you eat quality meals instead of junk food, which a lot of people spend their food stamps on to economize. I think this would be a much better plan. But what about the average family of four? This could be a conflict, but nearly $108 a week to feed a family of four regarding 3 meals a day seems feasible. That's $432 a month. The average recipient receives $254 a month in taxpayer dollars. That's barely getting enough food. Most people spend over $400 a month for groceries. That's how much money it takes to fill up the cabinets, refrigerator, and freezer. Perhaps a little more if you have a deep freezer. So if you spend $254 and then you run out of food by the second half of the month, what do you do by then if you ain't making good money? So what do you think would be better? Spending $254 of taxpayer dollars a month just to buy enough food to last 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks? Or would you buy a 2-person meal plan from Blue Apron for $264 a month? Sure, maybe $10 more a month, but you are getting fresh vegetables, fresh meat, and spices. But you are getting a cookbook so you learn how to cook the food like a chef. I would rather drop $264 a month to a private entity that would give me fresh food rather than take $254 a month in taxpayer dollars to barely get enough food. But what other alternatives are there from Plated and Blue Apron? There's HelloFresh. Another one is Home Chef. And what about the average family of four? They can get up to $600 a month in taxpayer dollars. Again, they think they are economizing by buying cheap, but if you fill up half of your cabinets and refrigerator with junk food, you are not economizing at all. So it is possible to feed a family of four good meals for $432 a month out of their own pocket from Blue Apron. So it's pretty obvious that abolishing food stamps and educating people on how to eat healthy is the only way we can make private meal services the staple of the American kitchen. Not everyone is a good shopper, and sometimes people want to make better choices, but don't have the knowledge. I mean, face it, private meal services will not entirely replace going to the supermarket. While it does help poor people that cannot afford to drive to the supermarket every month, going to a supermarket is very convenient up close. As long as you can get a good deal at your local supermarket, you are going to go. So if you folks want to make a difference in an effort to abolish food stamps, contact your local congressman, petition the White House to abolish food stamps, and hope that the abolition becomes reality. How can you make a difference to your community? Number 1, donate to your local food bank. It don't matter if you donate $5 or $500. That money will go toward feeding a community miles upon miles better than food stamps can. Number 2, and this could cause a few disagreements, go on Blue Apron and find yourself a meal plan. Finding yourself a meal plan that works for you and dropping a certain amount of money a month would be a better option if you think the supermarket is a nuisance to your budget. I know, this ain't easy for someone to decide. Number 3, donate to your local soup kitchen in an effort to feed the homeless. Yes, homeless children do exist in America. It's pretty sad that they are suffering because their parents are abject failures in raising them. Not only do you feed the homeless, but you also save money. See, folks, you don't need to pay taxes to feed people. You can donate to your local food bank or a local soup kitchen. Have I elaborated enough to you people as to why private meal services are more feasible than food stamps? Have I convinced you folks to take action to petition President Trump to abolish food stamps? I ask this because $70 billion a year in taxes come out of the pockets of American people, and a lot of the food stamps get wasted for drugs, alcohol, and smokes. It's time we take action and stop the fraud going on in America. I'm sure people like Darkseid would like to have more money back in his pocket because he does not want to forcefully fork over money to feed a bum. I don't blame him. Bottom line, a series of changes will happen one way or another. It's inevitable. Anyway, I'm Edray, and I'm out of here.